Welcome back to Sista Brunch, the podcast that brings you the stories and voices of Black women thriving in entertainment and media. And welcome to our fourth season. You can listen to seasons 1 through 3 on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. We're also adding a listener voice segment this season. We want to hear from you. We want to hear your voices. So if you've got questions about the entertainment industry or media industry, we would love to hear from you. Leave us a voicemail at 424-587-4870, and we might just play your question in a future episode. I'm your host, Fanchon Cox, and I for real could not wait to share today's guest with you on Sister Brunch because I am a huge fangirl. I've been trying to get her on the show for like all 3 seasons before. I found Hallease's YouTube channel years ago when I was actually about to cut off all my hair and I was looking for natural hair care videos. And she came up. She wears semi freeform locks and she has shared the whole journey of growing her locks and how she takes care of her hair. And then suddenly I found myself pulled into her entire life. She's been making content on YouTube for 11 years. She's produced hair care videos and vlogs, product reviews, a podcast about her marriage, very brave. We will get into that. And another one with content and another podcast with content creators and artists. And most recently, she has created a web series with another very famous YouTuber, Ellen from the Internet, called This Could Have Been an Email. Hallease was born, raised, and is still based in Texas, and she graduated from the University of Texas at Austin with a BS in radio, television, and film. Hallease, we are so thrilled to have you on. Welcome to Sister Brunch.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
So, like I said, we want to encourage our listeners and ourselves, the hosts and everybody who works on the podcast by talking about how you got your start. And I know some of it was that you loved doing photography as a young person, but tell us how that turned into this career.
Yeah, I first discovered photography when I was probably like in middle school. I went to a little place called Circuit City. I believe it does not exist anymore.
I
But
remember that.
I went there and got my first it was the last SLR camera. So it was the Nikon, I think it was the N75. That was the last SLR before everyone started going digital. And I bought that with my chore money. And I would just go around taking photographs of whatever was interesting with my chore money to, buy the film and all of that as well. That eventually evolved into buying my first camcorder and just like documenting anything and everything I could, not realizing at the time that I was vlogging essentially in so few words. And I would sit in front of the VHS and linear edit it together. Obviously, this is before the days of nonlinear editing as well. Yeah, I was out here. I was really wilding.
What program, or was it even called a program? You mean you were cut? Were you like physically cutting the film?
Yeah, like so basically like you would have the little mini tape in your recorder
Mhm.
and you would be in there like starting and stopping, in order as you film and then using your VCR to like go back and do it the right way as well. So
Wow.
linear, yeah,
Yes.
completely linear analog editing.
Yes.
Um and that eventually translated into actually went to a magnet high school here in San Antonio that specializes in communications. And that was how I learned that I could turn my love of video and film into a full-time career, and what led me to UT. And ultimately, what led me to UT really was their UTLA program. I really wanted, my original goal in life was to be a feature film editor. I actually wasn't really trying to be on
Wow.
YouTube. Yeah, so very different, very different journey so far. But yeah, that was really what brought me into like filmmaking overall. Actually spent some time in LA during my undergrad,
Hmm.
realized it wasn't for me and was like, ooh, I'm gonna go back to Texas where I just know how to navigate things better.
Mm.
And just worked for traditional video agencies for a long time, but all the while having my YouTube channel to be a place to explore my creativity, document my own life, just experiment with things more. with really more of the hopes of like finding community and also bringing those skills that I was learning as like a sort of independent, incredibly no budget filmmaker into my full time agency work. Like I really was doing it just to like keep the skills up for the most part and expand them whenever I could. And now here I am. So
It's amazing, and really, if you go to her YouTube channel, you see this growth, and something I love about YouTube and now, other options for us is that we're encouraged to grow publicly, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, so it's not just, and there are plenty of folks on there that just come in and it's, completely polished and they have a whole team with them, but what I love about your channel, and other folks that I follow is just that ability to watch you learn and then we learn from you. So you just see that growth on your channel. You talked about being in San Antonio, and of course, all of us on Sister Brunch, we're all based in LA, and it's kind of like we just feel like we have to be here. How do you have you ever felt pressure? I mean, you talked about that a little bit, but you were like, it's not for me. We won't be offended. We know why folks don't like it here. But do you still ever feel that draw to come, and what keeps you grounded in San Antonio?
I definitely do feel that draw to come for sure. I actually was just in LA this week for Adobe Max, so I was presenting over there for
Yes,
that.
yes.
And I'll be back in
Is this
LA.
your second year that you're a creator? You're a chosen creator for Adobe, right? They have like
Yeah, they have a residency, and you can only do it once. So my year just ended in May,
okay,
but yeah, for Max, they're like, come back out though. We still want you to do stuff. So yeah,
good.
um, but yeah, I was just in LA this week, and then I'm actually going back to LA next month. So I go there quite a bit. Um, but honestly, for me, it was just really hard when I went for my undergrad because I interned out there, worked on a lot of different stuff, but I could never really like get a foot in.
Yeah.
I always reference when I talk to people about my love hate relationship with Los Angeles. I always reference Chris Rock's Oscar speech, not this last one that got him in a lot
Uh-huh.
of
Yeah,
trouble,
yeah,
but not that one. But the last one he did, where he was like, "Yeah, LA's like sorority racist. We like you, Rhonda, but you're not a Kappa." You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I was like, that is so exactly what it was for me. You know, it was just so hard to like figure out what the thing was that I just couldn't
Mm,
break through. Whereas, ironically, in Texas, by the time I had gotten to that point in my undergrad, I had built so many connections in Texas already. At the time, I lived in Austin for
right,
school,
right.
obviously.
Uh,
So, yeah, coming back to Texas after my undergrad in LA was done, I was able to kind of get right into it in Austin. And I stayed in Austin for almost, I think, like 10 years before finally coming back to San Antonio.
Okay,
Um,
okay.
yeah, but it's also fascinating because I'm actually thinking about transitioning the production company to Atlanta in June.
Smart. Ooh,
Yeah,
we're gonna talk about that. Okay. So it's interesting that you're saying this because I think one of the reasons that I moved out here in '01, out here to LA in '01 from the East Coast, and everybody was like, "You're not gonna like it. It's fake. It's racist. It's all of those things."
yeah,
And superficial, of course, is the big one. And first of all, the weather. I mean, but you get some of that already where you are, so you already getting that. But what helped me was that I had a lot of people from the East Coast, so I had that group of people. As you're
yeah,
talking, I'm thinking, you know what? I know a lot of people from Austin here, but they all white.
yeah. So
Interesting.
yeah, I mean, it's a really tough move to make. Like, I think cost of living wise, it's just a really tough move to make because um, Texas's cost of living is significantly lower than California. You saying you came from the East Coast, if anything, it was more of an apples to apples
Yeah.
probably financial move for you. Um, but yeah, my friends that I had that did stay out in LA, it really like they're just now 10 years post undergrad, like actually really getting into their careers. Whereas for me, I came back to Texas and in like about 2-ish years, I was good. I was like making a solid, decent income. I wasn't rolling in no dough, but I was doing all right. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
So
right, right. All right, Hallease, so you've built this incredible life that I think a lot of people would be envious of because you are kind of making your own story, right? Like you, and of course we all got to get paid, so we do some things sometimes we may not love, but you're kind of liberated in that way. And so I want to know, what does a day in the life of Hallease look like with that kind of liberation?
Yeah, it probably looks very similar to most other people's
Oh
lives.
no.
I mean, I feel like if you work for yourself, you have to have a pretty epic amount of just like organization, control, consistency. So I wake up at like 6:30 most
Yep.
mornings, go for a run, then get to my desk. And I mean, a lot of it is just like sitting at your desk, answering emails and doing things like that. Break for lunch, come back, keep going, editing, so on and so forth. I try over the pandemic, I realized I really had to like be very conscious about time management
Mm,
and learning when to log off. And so I try to have a hard stop at 5,
that's good.
but recognizing that there's going to be ebbs and flows to that. Like sometimes you're just going to go over it because you just need to. Like there's times to grind and then there's times to chill for a second. So I try to let those waves come naturally
How,
with my
how
career.
about on shoot days, or even what's kind of your workflow or process if you're about to film the web series or film one of your videos? What does that look like?
So, I mean, when prepping to film the web series, yeah, all of that consistency and time management goes completely out the window. It's all hands on deck until it's done. And I feel like I really just don't take a nap until it's done, you know?
Mhm.
Um, so, yeah, with that, I'm running around all over the place because it is a web series and it's an independent production. I think, like, with the last 3 episodes, I was the costumes person. I was running around to stores doing that, like doing a lot of the sort of traditional independent producer things. Basically, anyone you don't officially hire on for a role, you do.
Right.
So it's a lot of that, and then also
Yeah.
the show is shot in Austin, not in San Antonio.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm like scrambling to get things situated here to then go up to Austin for the next couple days and work on it.
Okay.
So
So how about fundraising then? So I'm in the midst of I started my own production company, and have all these amazing projects on my slate, and I'm
yeah,
excited, but I ain't got no money. Like so
right.
so now it's like, okay, how do I make sure that I can pay for options, or I can you know um, cover the cost of pitch materials, and so how does that happen with someone who's a kind of an independent freelance producer?
The short answer is thoughts and prayers. It doesn't really happen that
Thoughts,
much.
prayers, and endeavoring to persevere. Yes, yes.
Yeah, and I would say actually, in fact, that's actually what I'm struggling with right now, at the phase of the career I'm at. Uh, because like with the web series, for example, I was able to produce the pilot episode. It was self-funded,
Mm,
and it cost about 20K to produce it. But I was able to allocate those funds because I was an Adobe Creative resident, and so I had the full-time salary for that,
great.
and I
Okay.
was able to move money to the show for that. But episodes 2 and 3 were crowdfunded successfully. It was a successful crowdfund, so that was cool. But I'm actually at an interesting impasse right now because episodes 4 and 5, season 1 is 5 episodes. Episodes 4 and 5, I'm like kind of going back to the drawing book on funding. I feel, and I think this might be because I don't have a traditional filmmaking background in regards to independent filmmaking, but I feel like it's overtapping the audience to do another crowdfunding
Mm,
campaign.
mhm, mhm.
Um, that's how I feel, you know what I'm
It's
saying?
tough. I know. I
Because
know.
it is a big ask. And I think I'm very conscious of just where everyone is in the country right now. Like these gas prices is rowdy,
Mm,
inflation's up there. And I don't know, for me as an artist, I think it's just because I come from like working class parents. Like I struggle with the feeling of, well, the art doesn't have to happen. Like none of
mm,
this has to happen. I
yes.
just really want it to. So what's the difference between wanting and like needing something to exist? You know what I mean?
I'm just gonna say it has to happen with you. because I'm sorry, like one thing I think a lot about is quality over quantity in terms of followers, in terms of views, and right, all of that. And I do want to get into kind of the what it's like to be a Black woman on YouTube or on something that relies on algorithms that we know are racist, et cetera, sexist, et cetera. But I find when I watch your videos and see who's interacting with you and how they're interacting that you have folks that kind of rely on you.
Mm.
And so when you say like I don't need to, I'm like I think you do. Not only because we need you, and you know the ways you inspire us, but also it's clear, as you said, from being a little girl, that this is the thing that you do. Like, could you see yourself doing anything else anyway?
Yeah, no. I mean, Evelyn and I both talk about like, well, I think when you're a content creator, you always have a pie in the sky dream of what you would do if you weren't a content creator, and it's
Mhm.
always something that's incredibly offline.
Mhm.
So, like, my thing is I would have a goat farm and I would make goat cheese.
Yes,
It's called
yes.
Totes My Goats Cheeses.
There you go.
Uh, and I'd just be chilling at the farmers markets, Saturday, Sunday, get
Love
this
it.
cheese, bruh. So, but I'd probably still be documenting something, all of that stuff. It's
Yeah.
very, yeah, innate.
So both of you are having the experience of being influenced, both of you and Evelyn being influencers, being on a platform that is known for kind of creating stars, turning folks into having, higher platforms. And I get frustrated, honestly, when I see the views on your channel because I'm like, this is one of the best filmmakers on YouTube. So what is it like being a Black woman in this space? How do you maintain your commitment to continuing to do this when I can imagine, is not always easy?
I think what keeps me on the platform is the community for sure. That was why I came, and I think that's still why I stay. The other thing, don't get me wrong, YouTube does have things that it knows about and is actively working on.
Okay.
Um, but I think the other thing that's been really beneficial for me has been that it's not necessarily been about the quantity of eyes that I have on my channel.
Mhm.
It's always been about the quality of eyes I have on my channel.
Yes.
Um, and just who those people are, because a lot of my independent career has just come from the fact that I existed on YouTube and
Mm.
people were aware of that. Like, um, I got a YouTube Creators for Change grant in 2018 when I only had like 10,000 subscribers. I was not very big. And yet I got this opportunity to make a series of videos on my channel combating hate speech and xenophobia.
Yes.
So, and then by the end of getting that, I also, again, was not very big and yet got the opportunity to be a producer of a channel for PBS for a whole like season. So it's, for
Yes.
me, the gains have not ever really been about views or
Mm.
subscriber count. Don't get me
Mm.
wrong. I mean, I know that I've been sitting at like 90K for the past like year and a half, and I'm like, yo, I want a freaking play button, man.
Yeah, you
But
need to play. This is. I'm like, I'm waiting for the day I see a play button in the background. I'm like, where's
I
her play? Yeah,
know,
yeah,
I know,
yeah.
but yeah, it's the community is really has what has kept me there, and the high
Mhm.
value eyes for sure.
Yeah.
Because there's just so many great people I've met through the channel. That's been exciting.
That's
So
good to know. And yeah, I do I do see Google/YouTube making efforts, and that's nice to see, right? I mean, again, and I know in the industry anyway, things have slowed down a bit since George Floyd was murdered and there were protests in the streets, and everybody was jumping on things, and they've gotten slower. But I think we have to recognize that things are different than they were even prior to that. Like we're making some strides. It can always be better.
I have a question for you actually about that.
Please, yes.
Something I struggled with the aftermath of George Floyd's murder was like, how do I say this? Something I struggled with was I did get an influx of new subscribers of, I
Mm-hmm.
think, frankly, white people realizing they needed to diversify their viewing.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so then the struggle I found myself in was, are these pity views or are
Mm-hmm.
these genuine growth, community building views?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Um,
know exactly what you mean.
yeah. Did you struggle with any of that with, yeah, everything? Because it was
We
like, oh, so
struggle with
somebody had
it.
to die for me to get, I don't
uh,
want someone to die to get more attention. You know what I mean? Like,
Absolutely. And
yeah,
it's back to that point of quality over quantity. And we struggle with that with Sister Brunch. We're very clear that this is about Black women and gender expansive people, but that meaning that's who makes it and that's who it's about. But we're like every woman we have on, we're like the entire industry should be paying attention to these women. We purposely bring women on who, if you say their name at an agency, the agents aren't, may not know who they are. And we're like, you don't know what you're missing. At the same time, if they do catch on, you have to question all the reasons why they caught on.
yeah,
There's certainly it's money, right? Because only if they see dollar signs. But to your point, I mean, I will take some guilt and shame follows if it means that I get closer to monetizing. Like y'all go ahead, that's fine. Go ahead and follow, and but it's back to that quality over quantity, and ultimately you see that in who you're interacting with, who's coming back, who's leaving reviews. So I think we probably both agree on that piece. Like I mean, while we're still in a place where the count does matter. I mean, I recently learned this because I was an actor for a long time in Hollywood, and thank goodness got wise and became a producer. But I was talking to a younger actor, and when they're slating now to audition, when they do the My Name Is, they have to
yeah.
say how many Instagram followers they have when they're slating
No.
for an audition, and I'm like, this is ridiculous.
Oh, no. That
But
doesn't matter.
right? And yet, if it matters in terms of you getting that job, booking a national commercial so that you can do your creative work for a year or whatever,
Right.
then those numbers matter. So yeah, it's like that. I think what I love about you and your experience is that you continue to make things that are important to you and important to your fan base, but you ain't changing your content for anybody. That's a good thing.
Well, that's also why I haven't grown,
Right. Yeah. Well,
it's a give and take for sure. I used to have a YouTube partner manager. She
okay.
was awesome. Uh, but since she moved to a different part of YouTube, but she would always say to me like, "Hallease, you're never gonna hit 100K because you need to establish a niche." And I was like, "Nah, man, the niche is me. I'm the
Yeah,
niche."
that's right.
And
Yeah.
she would just chuckle. She would just laugh. She's like, "You're not wrong, but we're both right. You are the niche, but also you're not the niche, and you're not gonna grow." And she wasn't wrong. We're still friends.
Well, so let's talk about some of that content because you are extremely brave in that you and your husband share openly about your marriage and struggles and what's that like and why did you decide to do that and how's that going?
Yeah, I actually decided to do that because I had sort of trickled him into the YouTube channel a little bit,
Hmm.
like pretty early on, like 2015, 2016. Cause it's like, how do you not have your partner? If you're documenting your life, it's kind of hard to not have your partner included in some
Yes,
way.
yes.
But at the same time, I was seeing a lot of, frankly, what I felt was like fetishization of interracial couples that I
Hmm.
wasn't okay with.
Hmm.
Um, and so I was like, okay, how do I incorporate this person into the channel while still maintaining like my own individual authenticity with it, but also like not having him be reduced to some sort of trope or just like almost like trophy husband. Look what I like, you know what I'm saying? Like this
Mm-hmm.
odd colorism thing, you know?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so
Yes.
that was why I was like, if y'all want to see more of my husband, then it's going to be long form. You are going to be forced to see him as a whole person.
Yes.
The
Yes.
good, the bad, and the ugly of Mr. Hallease. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And that's how the marriage podcast came about. And we've taken a lot of breaks and hiatuses because for the longest time he was still like a professional nurse working in the field, and people at the hospital did start to recognize him, and he was like, this
Okay.
is weird, I'm a hard pause on this. So yeah, but yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's been good. And it hasn't been hard to share because for me, I'm trying to seek out like the human experience. Like, what does it mean to live and exist in this time, in this place, in this body? Like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
Um, and so that's why I document so much.
Yeah.
And I also seek out that content on YouTube as well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you know, like Shan Boudram on
Yes.
YouTube as well. I
Yes.
love watching her content. Her and I
Mm.
live incredibly different lives. You know,
Yep.
she's like sex educator, very open, very just, all the things.
Yes.
Um, but I love watching her content because it's like, yes, I'm getting another version of a human experience. And I just
Mm.
want to see that. You know what I mean? So
I mean
for me, it's not
that
hard to share.
it's just to me definition of a true storyteller. And when we read scripts or receive pitches, it's so clear whether the person, the writer, has had the experience they're writing about. Even if it's sci-fi but it's so clear if they've experienced kind of the life, the universal types of life things that they're talking about. So it's a constant note, right? Like, write what you know, and that is what you reflect. Like, your whole channel, everything you do is you as a storyteller, you being authentic in those ways, and it's truly a gift. Okay, so I'm gonna set up a scene for you. So you, Hallease, are in your favorite place for a Sista brunch, and you're having this fabulous Sista brunch with the Hallease that started her channel 11 years ago. What are you eating? What are you drinking? And what do you tell her?
What am I currently eating and drinking? And
You,
what is
you and
she?
you and you, the two of you are meeting now. Yeah, you can tell. What are you both eating together? What are you both drinking together at the brunch? And what are you telling her?
Ooh, so if it's a brunch, I'm actually eating something, and it's really gonna be all about our age differences because her metabolism is still great and mine is not.
Yes.
So, so that's gonna be
So
the
you'll
bulk
be some
of.
gluten free. You'll definitely be having some gluten free for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So I'll be having something gluten free that's high in fiber, low in sugar, because this pre-diabetes is no joke. Like I'll be doing all of that.
Listen.
I'll be having some white wine with I'm not doing mimosas, too much sugar. Like I'm not doing it.
Okay.
And
Okay.
I can tell you what she's going to be eating. She's going to be eating like chicken and waffles
Yes.
with a veggie, like
Hmm.
some grilled vegetables there as well. Cause I was pretty balanced even back then. But she's like not really going to have a taste for like decent alcohol yet. So she'll probably still be
Is she
having
drinking
like,
moonshine? What's she having? What's she?
no, no, she'll just be doing like the cherry vodka sour or something,
Okay.
like
Okay. Yep. Yep.
something
Yes.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, that's what she's going to be having. Or she'll be having like a super duper sweet wine.
Uh-huh. Yes. Yes. Yes.
And then your question was, what are we talking about?
Yeah. What do you tell her?
What do I tell her? I think what I'm telling her is, hey girl, it's okay that LA didn't work out. It's not you, it's them.
Mm.
Um, I think definitely telling her like start the channel faster, like do it faster.
Mm.
Um, it's also okay that the agency you're at is like incredibly problematic and your boss is scary.
Mm.
She's going to fire you in a couple months anyway. You'll be fine. You'll be so happy when she does. Trust me. And And then just like, I know, actually, this is a good one because I was still pretty young in my marriage when we started the channel. It's like, I know the marriage, you went into it and you're happy, you know you made the right decision, but you're also like, oh, this is a lot. Just stick it out. He's actually really good. You'll be
Yes.
fine. Marriage, the transition into marriage is hard, but you'll be good. You'll be fine. Um, it's just a transition, and you'll realize that those are normal now. Um, but yeah, I think that's like, ironically, it's not, yeah, it's more about like life overall. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So yeah, and
mm-hmm.
then I'd probably be like, calm down on the sugar now because both your parents have diabetes, so like it's coming for you. It's all like health related.
As it needs to
Start
be.
getting facials now at your
That's not, I wish I had someone to tell me that, to guide me in those ways.
right.
Yeah, I didn't get
Yeah.
those. Hallease, this has been amazing and too short. And for real, I got you in LA. Like I understand everything that you have faced. You are a true one. You are a real one. You the industry just has not caught up with you. LA has not caught up with you. So you keep going. For sure. How can our listeners support you? And we will support you. And of course, we'll get your social info. But is there anything that you want to make sure? I know you've got a Patreon. Anything that we want to make sure we know?
Um. Oh man, no, because like we're Evelyn and I right now are figuring out again what we want to do for episodes 4 and 5 of the
Okay.
next of the project. This could have been an email, and of course I got a ton of other ideas, but it's like I should probably finish that one first. So I think just following is like the big thing.
Okay.
Like if y'all want to help me get to 100K, I
Let's
will
do
thank you for that.
that. Listen, let's do that. We're going to add that as a Sister Brunch goal for early 2023. Get Hallease to, hopefully it won't even take that long.
Hopefully, yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, so good to meet you. You're amazing.
Thank
Truly.
you. Thank you so
Yeah,
much for having me. This is an awesome podcast. Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
absolutely.
So yeah.
Absolutely. Folks need to know who you are on this side of things.